But yeah,
I guess I'm probably pretty close to being caught up because I'm in the second half of the season. After like the Christmas break, season 21, I think it is.
okay. I don't know. I mean, I watch them when they're come out. Like I'm watching Gold Rush right now. So.
Oh. Yeah. Deadliest Catch is one of those just kind of shows on in the background.
Yeah.
I can have it on the iPad while I'm working.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to watch all of it. I feel the same way about...
You kind of listen to it and know what's going on.
I kind of feel the same way about Gold Rush. I kind of hear what's going on and then make sure I'm paying real close attention when the gold weigh happens. Because that's really what I'm watching for. I want to see how much gold they make. So we started... I kept saying on the last episode, I don't remember if it was last week, but on 59 about baseball and how I was really excited about our coach pitch, and it's actually we're moving to kid pitch.
Okay.
So that's one of the things I was really excited about is moving to that. Had our first practice this week. I like it. I don't. He's not the best one, which is good. I don't want him to be the best one.
Plenty of room for growth.
Plenty of room for growth, and he, but he doesn't stand out as the worst one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't want him to be the worst one either. Because
right.
then you're holding everybody back.
Right.
So,
and it's just that's a tough road to go down.
And not only that, it's not healthy for the kid. Not healthy for the kid. But
my oldest is doing great. So they had a couple years before this year where they were just beating everybody.
Yeah.
Kind of best team. And then they had to move up, and then they moved up an age group. So they're playing up a year.
Oh.
And last fall was kind of eye-opening. I think they won 2 games, scored very little goals. Their goal differential was crazy, in a not good way. So this year, spring season starts last week. And I'm like, okay. Last week they played the runner-up for last year, the team that lost in the championship.
Okay.
Hard-fought game, back-and-forth scoring, but my son scored with a few minutes left, and they won 3-2. And I was like, okay, they've improved. That was the runner-up.
Okay.
Last year, they lost to them in the regular season, in the fall, but it was a hard-fought game. It could have gone either way, but we scored last, kind of thing.
Okay, nice.
Then yesterday, pouring down rain, they played the team that won the championship last year, which is a club team that's playing down in rec to get some extra reps. We talked about that, how teams will do that. And so I'm like prepping my son before this game, and I'm like, listen, buddy. He's like, we're going to lose. He's like, I just don't want to lose bad. I want to score some goals. I want it to be competitive. I'm like, man, it's a great outlook, except I don't like you saying you're going to lose. I said, listen, it's a rain game. You've watched enough football to know how rain games, snow games can change the whole outcome of how a game should go.
Right.
Quote unquote, should go. I said, you go out there and like bust your tails and see what happens. So we scored first and wound up winning 5-1.
Nice.
Against the team who won the championship last year.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I think it's a great start. That was really a boost of confidence for him. He told me, he said, what his friend scored. He scored 2 of those. His friend was the one who scored the first goal. He said after he scored that first goal, he said, I got all my confidence back, and I knew we were on from then. So it was just, it's not fun sitting out in the rain.
No, not at all.
It's cold and the wind's blowing, but It was so much fun watching him play.
Yeah. One thing about sports is I do push my kids to gym sports.
Yeah.
Good gravy. But when it's nice outside, it's nice.
It is, yeah.
I enjoy that. But I had an epiphany this week.
Okay.
So I added this to the run sheet a little bit late, but I've been, we're in STAR testing season and we're kind of reviewing a little bit. So we had our benchmarks or whatever. And I just feel like sometimes I get defeated when I'm like, they really should know a lot more of this information than what they actually do. So we had our benchmarks. And I'm talking to my kids afterwards, and I'm like, guys, like we went over this multiple times, and this is my U.S. history class. And then I was talking to my world history class, kind of just about how spring gets crazy and things need speed up and slow down or whatever. And so I'm asking them, like, why don't you think you remember this? Because it's obviously something we've covered multiple times, and you should at least have a general idea about it. And it got me thinking, like, it's because they don't have to remember anything.
Yeah.
It's not a muscle that they have to use.
Right.
So it got me thinking this over the weekend. I'm like, well, what all things did I have to remember? My address. So I asked them, what's your address? Well, I don't know.
Wow.
My location is set for my phone.
Yeah.
Well, what about your parents' phone number? Do you know your parents' phone number? No, it's in my phone. Do you know?
I've gotten bad about that.
Could
I
you
know
give
a
me
handful,
directions?
but we used to know all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So like even for us, that muscle is starting to go away.
100%.
We used to know everybody's phone number because you had to dial it.
Yes.
So it was necessary information.
Absolutely. But I think it definitely applies to education because it's just like these kids don't have to use that muscle memory anymore. And, you know, for the longest time in education, it was drill and kill, drill and kill, drill and kill. And you're like, that's kind of pointless. But now it's almost that we've had to shift back to that because they don't use that muscle anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have to remember their address. They don't have to remember their grandparents' phone number when they go over there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just think that that's definitely something in the future we're going to have to really push, which I don't particularly like, but I think it's going to be necessary.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because it's something that I never even thought about until I was sitting there thinking about it this like the last couple of days. Because it got brought up.
Yeah. And I do that. I'm a big crammer. That's why I was always a good test taker. I could cram before a test and go answer everything about it, not know a single thing afterwards.
We talked about that a couple
all
of
the
weeks
all
ago.
the teachers in the listening are groaning.
But that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But if you aren't ever taught that skill, some people are able to do it. Like I have a kid right now that has a photographic memory.
Oh, wow.
So all they have to do is just look at it and they remember it. And I'm like, you don't understand how special you are, especially in today's society.
Yeah. Do you want to be a doctor or a CPA or
well, anything that
retaining that
requires
information,
anything like my wife can write something down and then she can visualize the paper that she wrote it on.
Yeah.
But she has to write it. She can't just, I don't know, maybe she can. I guess I've never really asked her that, but I do remember her saying that she had that.
That's how I passed my CPA exams, is rewriting notes. And then I could remember where I had written that note on the page. I didn't have a photographic memory about it, but I'm like, oh, I remember writing this in the top right corner, and I would remember. So that was my crutch.
The other thing that came up this week, what's the weirdest thing that your family cooks?
I saw you put that on there. I can't think of a single thing. We probably eat the most just white bread, middle of America meals all the time. Like I could not think of a single thing I would consider weird. Like we even eat the same things. It's like Monday night is breakfast, Tuesday night is tacos. Like it's like we're very regimented and we eat the same things on the same days every week.
So let me give you the rundown for the last 3 days. Last night, we had just steak, which is pretty typical on a weekend. We usually save steak for the weekend, so that way we can have leftovers on Saturday or Sunday. However, the alternate or the side dish was lobster mac and cheese.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Earlier this week, the wife was not feeling so great, so I ran to the H-E-B store, and they had octopus on sale.
Oh.
So she cooked octopus. It's a long process. It's a long process.
Yeah, we've never had that in this house.
Yeah, so that's one of the things she ate this week. And then she made like a salad out of the leftovers. Yeah. The cold octopus. And it was just, as she was cooking it, and I'm watching the tentacles boil over, it's coming out of the thing. And it's like, that's just so odd.
Yeah.
I wonder if other people on the planet do that. But I can't, it's good, but it's not, I can't get over the look of it.
We'll have fried calamari when we're out somewhere, but we're not eating octopus inside the house. We're even so standard. I eat the same things for lunch every day. Like I'm chicken and rice every single day.
Yeah.
Like that's Monday through Friday in little containers, my meal prep, that's it. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So we do eat odd, or at least my wife does. And then most of the time she cooks multiple meals. She cooks multiple meals a day for for the people of the house.
Speaking of eating weird things, our group chat, you need to look at it. We just got a meme posted in our memes chat.
Who knows with him?
I wish I had the skills to put it up on the screen right away. We can put it on the YouTube. It says, I won't tell anybody if I win the lottery, but there will be signs. Now describe what the picture is.
It's 2 pieces of white bread with a entire stack of what looks like bologna.
Yeah. There will be signs. Man, if you fry some bologna, that is a one good sandwich. If you do a couple pieces of fried, like the thick cut bologna on there, put a piece of cheese on there, let it melt with some mustard and pickles.
I can't.
That's one heck of a sandwich. And I've gotten to where I won't eat a sandwich anymore unless I toast the bread. Because that levels it up. Any sandwich.
Yes.
If you either just make the toast or you use a little sandwich maker and it toasts the bread, that's... Man, we're living in 2026.
We are. Well, I got a new cigar.
Okay.
Before we hop in, I got to be honest with you. It's in Spanish, and I don't know what it says. And I can't read the paper, the band on the paper. I think it's Guardo, Gadro. I think is what it is.
That's not
Connecticut. But
where'd you get it?
The local Specs.
Okay.
I'm a little disappointed in them, though.
Oh.
They've changed what they carry, and they don't carry some of my favorites anymore. You know, they do that every once in a while.
I haven't been in there in a minute. I'm going with the good old standby Olivia Series, not the Series V, but the Connecticut.
So
I'm starting to get into my summertime cigar stash. So it's going to be all Connecticut's because it's warm out. It was cold yesterday, but Texas. So now it's like warm out.
We're in the third summer.
Yep. Yeah.
Our third winter, sorry.
Right.
But yeah, I was kind of disappointed when I went in there earlier this week, and I was like, okay, that you don't have like the selection of Olivier's was not near as big as what they've been in the past.
Okay. We need to talk to our people then.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that works there, if I'm being honest with you. But they would say, well, then come in and buy what we have, so that way we can order more.
Man, I do like this. I'm going to smoke this sucker down. Good old Olivia. Well, hey, we haven't done 60 Seconds on the Stars in a while. So
when you put that on there, I was like, wait a minute.
They've been doing good, so we have to. Like, we can't. Like, they had a franchise record 10-game winning streak. They've never done that before.
And they played the Avalanche on...
They just lost.
Oh, no. I was about to say, they played Avalanche on Saturday.
And they lost in a shootout.
Okay.
So...
We'll allow it.
Yeah. I think they lost Friday.
That's when they played the Avalanche?
Yeah. But they lost in a shootout. They won 10 games before that, so hey. Go Stars.
So their win-loss record's 38-14 with 86 points.
Yeah.
That's in second place. But the Avalanche, who they lost to in a shootout on Friday... has 95 points.
Yeah.
So we're right there.
We're right there. We might be getting to some playoff hockey.
Definitely playoffs, because like fourth only has 72 points.
Okay.
And then fifth has 64 points. So
yeah.
You're right there. And that doesn't technically go as a loss in the loss column. It goes as a loss in shootouts.
We are your 60 Seconds on the Stars podcast.
Are you watching the World Baseball Classic?
No.
Okay. So
I usually do.
I watched it last night.
Just been busy.
And the only time that I'll ever root for a Astros player is when they're playing for the Americans. The only time. That's the great exception.
Even then.
Yeah, I can't do it.
It's rough.
I don't even remember which one it was, but it was like the Astros at the very bottom.
You think it's odd for a Astros player to play on a team that doesn't cheat?
I don't know.
It's odd.
I don't know.
I wonder if they know how to do that.
Don't think they do.
No.
Nope. But I saw in other news on the World Baseball Classic, Nicaragua almost won their first game ever yesterday. Bottom of the ninth.
They're too busy rolling cigars down there, man. We need them. I'd rather Nicaragua roll cigars than play baseball well.
Okay, that's a very valid point. But they almost won, and the poor pitcher gave up a double, 2 outs, 2 strikes, runner on second, gave up a stand-up double.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for him because it's like, oh, you could just see it just melt his face because it's like, oh, can't believe I did that. But yeah.
I got my Rangers hat on. I think this year's going to go better.
I think so. Have you been listening to spring training games?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Just when I catch it, not on purpose. But
Same.
it's on the
Same.
the main sports radio station we listen to. So I'll catch a game here and there and hear the infamous Eric Nadel, Hall of Fame radio announcer calling the game. So.
He wasn't on early in the season, and I noticed Jared Sandler hasn't been on yet either, unless he started this week. I know he just had a baby.
They played Wednesday, the Wednesday night. No, it was Thursday night because it was I was bringing my son home from soccer practice. They played KC, and Eric was calling that game.
Just such a great broadcaster.
Yeah, I love the way he describes the game.
Yeah. Well, not only that, his voice is soothing.
Yes.
And it's very...
And as a Rangers fan, I will forever have his call for the World Series win
100%
in my head. I was 100%. On my way driving up to Dick's to get a shirt because the game wasn't over yet. And I'm like, but we're winning this sucker. And so I remember, you talk about remembering things. I remember I was turning under the interstate right down here in front of the McDonald's when he called it. Rangers fans, you're not dreaming. When he said that, I was turning right in front of the McDonald's to get on the interstate to go down to Dick's or Academy or wherever and get a World Series t-shirt.
My brother-in-law was already in the parking lot.
Oh, I know.
I text him.
I know. We were like, when we got there, we might have talked about this on the pod. I don't know. When I got there, I was just by myself. Man, there were people hooping and hollering, jumping out of their cars. We were running up to, it wasn't a rush. Like, they had plenty. They had tables set up. They were obviously ready for the rush. I had no issue. I got to walk in, grab as many shirts and hats as I wanted to, and walk out. But man, you talk about a sports fan remembering things.
Well, then he came to my house and dropped the shirt off, and we stood in the stood in the middle of the street at 1 a.m.
Yes,
jumping out, hugging
Doesn't
each
matter.
other.
Hey.
I was like, oh my gosh, if anybody gets this on ring cam, we are in trouble because this is crazy that we're doing this. But I did put the greatest rivalry in sports on there, but then I went back to this same episode about this same time last year, and we already had this discussion.
We did?
Yeah, We already had it. I believe it's Duke and North Carolina basketball, men's basketball.
Okay.
Hands down, the most...
I didn't know they were rivals.
Rivalry. What?
So I don't think I can qualify as the greatest rivalry in sports. If you could ask someone who watches sports, sort of.
No, but you don't follow basketball.
I don't, but still, I figure there are people who don't follow baseball that know the Yankees and the Red Sox hate each other. Right?
I'll respectfully disagree with you on that. The Duke and Carolina.
You think that if you just polled a random 10, 20, 50 people, that there would be more people that would know about Duke and UNC versus Yankees, Red Sox?
Probably not.
If I want to talk specifically, I would say Cowboys, Philly.
Yeah. But I don't think that's as big of a rivalry anymore.
Oh, I think it is.
I think the fans
especially since they've had success recently.
I think the fans want it to be, but I don't think
it is in my head.
I think it's a great one.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the greatest.
It's not the greatest. No. But if it's the biggest rivalry that matters to me, it's Cowboys, Philly, and then Rangers, Astros.
Good ones.
Yeah.
Top 5 for sure.
Do the Stars have a rival?
I would say either the Avalanche or the Minnesota Wild.
Not Lightning.
No, maybe the Panthers. Yeah. I would say the Avalanche because that's who we beat in the
Cup.
In the I almost said the World Cup, the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And then the Minnesota Wild because that's where the Stars came from.
Right. That makes sense. And then
the Mavericks or the Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs.
100%.
I would have called that, yeah.
But yeah. So Lou Holtz
died.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was still alive.
Yeah, he's one of those that's really old. And you're like, if somebody, you could make that. But, every team he coached, he took to a bowl game.
That's a wild stat, too.
It is a
wild.
This
is back when the bowls were not as big of a deal as they are now.
And he coached a lot of teams. Him for getting his championship from Notre Dame. You know about him at Arkansas and South Carolina. But, he had basically, if you look at his record, if you just pull up his Wikipedia page, you will see every team he's with, he's going to a bowl except for the first year he's there and the last year he's there. It's like the first year he gets there, he may or may not go to a bowl because Wikipedia highlights the years that they went to a bowl.
Okay.
So it's easy. It's graphically easy to see. And it's like bowl, 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 bowl. Then he like doesn't go to a bowl. It's like, okay, they fired him because he didn't go to a bowl game. And then he goes somewhere else. And he may or may not go to a bowl. And then it's like bowl, bowl, bowl. Maybe if it's Notre Dame championship bowl. But Arkansas specifically, 6 bowls in 7 years. You know, Notre Dame, 9 bowls in 11. He didn't go the first year or the last year and won the national championship in 1988. And just a stand-up guy. Anytime they would interview him, hear him talk, you know, he seemed like a really stand-up guy. So
he's the reason I even know who Notre Dame is.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Because even though the movie Rudy came out about this same time, they were also being successful during that time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Good cigar holds its ash.
Oh, this is a good cigar.
Olivia, Connecticut.
Also, my humidor was a little bit more humid than normal because it was at 72.
Yeah.
I usually keep it at 70, so that's part of it too.
To round out our sports, Tyler Reddick does something. I don't know if any, I could look this up, but I don't know if any NASCAR driver has won 3 in a row. Maybe they have. There have been a lot of really good, like, dynasty type drivers over the years. And maybe I'm not a good NASCAR fan if I don't know that, but 3 in a row, especially the first 3.
Yeah.
And so they're at Phoenix today, and I was just looking, he's running 5th right now.
So there was a race yesterday that was an IndyCar race, and then later on in the evening on the same track, there was
That's
another
Austin.
one.
Circuit of the Americas in Austin.
No. This was at Phoenix. Yeah, because I remember thinking like, wait a minute, because I've been following. I'm trying to be a good. Trying to be a good friend here and follow my friend's sport. Unlike you in Duke, North Carolina, and
if I happen to turn on the television set and turn the dial to the station, and that game comes on, then I'll watch it. It
was on yesterday.
I was busy yesterday.
There's a good chance they do play on Friday.
We're playing soccer in the rain.
They may play on Friday. And if
I will watch them if they make it to March Madness. This is this week, right? Starts on Thursday?
Well, conference tournaments start this week.
It's the next week. It's always
Correct.
spring break, and this isn't spring break.
Do you like watching women's basketball? Because that starts this week.
No.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I don't really care watching any basketball, but one thing I like about college basketball is that it's just 2 quarters. It's
two
a shorter.
halves. 2 halves.
Well, you know, but they're
Come on, you're the math guy.
But they're the length of quarters.
Right.
A college basketball game is half the length of an NBA game.
Right.
And I enjoy watching. Like, it's quick. You get it done, move on with your life. But I did, like last year for March Madness, we were in Vegas.
Oh, I remember that.
We normally don't go that early in the year, but we were there, and it was a fun time to be in Vegas around March Madness.
Well, a couple years ago, we went to the casino up in Durant for a concert, and the next day it happened to be March Madness, and we just kind of sat around the sports bar and just kind of watched. Yeah. It was cool because they have a big one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, hey, you know, I don't know if Reddick's going to win here in Phoenix, but 4 in a row would be crazy. But we talked about this on the pod quite a bit, but that's Michael Jordan's team. Yeah. He's one of his drivers for the 2311.
And there was something about
NASCAR team.
Explain that again about how they got behind or something. Not behind, but they weren't allowed to race last year. Is that right?
Because they wouldn't sign their contract. NASCAR kind of had all the teams over the barrel of not letting them.
Gotcha.
I think it was 2 episodes ago, so it would have been like 58. We talked about how they would not let them retain their charter year after year. So every year they all had to get re-upped, and it's not like a football charter where you could like gain value because you knew you were going to be there next year.
Right.
So Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, their 2311 NASCAR team, sued NASCAR. They had to sit out for that, but they won their lawsuit. They got settled anyway, and so now all of the NASCAR charter teams were grandfathered in.
Okay.
So for lifetime charters.
I still think that's a dumb rule.
Yeah.
A dumb rule.
It was definitely set up for NASCAR and the commissioner to, you know, have the advantage over the actual teams.
But going back to colleges, so I know you took your one of your children up to preview day, but over our last couple of weeks, we have these meetings with our high school students, and each class has a meeting. And so one of the things that they brought up was about how ACT, SAT scores are now required for college admissions. And so it brought me back to Gavin Newsom last week when he was talking about how his SAT score was a 960 or whatever. And so those COVID rules have now gone away. They no longer apply. And so when COVID happened, they did away with some of the requirements to get into college. One of them is the requirement of taking the ACT, SAT.
But you can still go test exempt.
Yes, if in the state of Texas, if you do well enough on your state exams.
Yeah, because my daughter is.
Yeah, and I mean theoretically, you should do well enough if you attend a decent school.
Yeah,
and that's a goal of yours. You should score well enough.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My oldest is a senior graduating, and so she's picked her school. So we went to basically a preview day type of thing. There are a lot of kids there that weren't settled on their school, although like things have changed a little bit. But if you're not settled on a school right now, you're kind of late in the game.
Yeah,
because I mean, we did our housing and all that kind of stuff, and there was, I'll tell you, 14 spots left in a mediocre dorm. All of the good ones were gone, and then the only ones who had space after that were the kind of the more, kind of crappier ones. Like, still okay. Like, none of them were bad. We got to tour them. None of them were bad, but there's a difference. So, like, if you don't, and they require freshmen to live on campus. If your parents live in that city, they can get a waiver, and I'm sure you can get other waivers and other kind of stuff like that. But, if you haven't, and maybe the ones who haven't decided have already registered for housing too, and they'll just cancel it. That can happen. That can happen too. They told us to keep an eye on some of the more like the pod learning and suite style dorms, because some of that could open up if somebody cancels. But they don't do a waiting list or anything. Like if it cancels, it goes back in the system, and if you happen to be watching, you'll get it, kind of thing.
That kind of sucks.
I mean, I actually kind of like it, because if you're like 150th on the waiting list, you have zero chance.
Oh, okay.
But if you happen to be watching it at the right time,
that's a valid point.
But it's really exciting, man. People around me are going to get tired of me talking about it. It was information overload. This is not orientation like rah, rah, rah. You're so glad you're here. This is awesome. This was like just speaker after speaker, PowerPoint after PowerPoint. This is what you need to know. This is what this is. And she's going to be a nurse, and it's a top nursing school in the state. I don't know who decides these things, but it's what they say. And everybody tells me that too. And like, it's really intense. Like the steps that she'll have to go through. And, it's not just once you get into school, you're good, keep your grades up and you'll stay. It's like, no, you have to finish your prereqs, which she's done a ton of them in high school. She'll graduate with her associates, which is a great opportunity. But once she finishes that first 60 hours, then she's got to apply to get into nursing school.
Right. And there's no guarantee there.
They've got 75 spots.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so the guy said, the head of the department said several times, if you just go to class and keep your nose in a book, come out with all A's and a 4.0, but have done nothing else, you're not going to get into nursing school. That's not good enough. They want to see you doing it. And he kept saying, he says like 3 or 4 times, in meaningful and diverse ways outside of the classroom. So because my daughter's graduating with her associate, she's also graduating as a PCT, which is a patient care technician, which is not a nurse.
Right.
And it doesn't even require a degree or anything. If you've been to the hospital, like a lot of hospitals put these in like gray scrubs, and they're the ones like coming and grabbing the bedding and doing things like that. And like they can assist with things. And she's doing clinicals in high school right now. So she's seeing patients at one of the local hospitals here, a couple days a week. So she's getting that experience, and she'll have her PCT. And so what they said was she needs to work. Like we told her, like, you don't have to work in college. Like, that's going to be, going to college is going to be your job. But then as it comes to it, like, we said, you might get like an on-campus job, something like that. But her department head was like, no, like she needs to go work with her PCT, get paid, not just shadow. Needs to actually go work at one of the schools. One of the hospitals in the area or medical facilities in the area, because that will be key to her actually getting into nursing school and getting one of those 75 spots. That and good grades.
It's heavy.
Yeah, but I told her, I said, you have so many more opportunities graduate, because I went to the school she's graduating from, and than I had 25 years ago. Because
for sure.
You're coming out with your associate, you're coming out with a certification, all that you got to do in high school, which means instead of having to come in and do 60 hours in 2 years and keep that GPA up and work, she's going to need like 24 to 30 hours. Depending on what they take.
Okay, so that's not
crazy.
Yeah, that's not.
I said, I recommend you not try to do that in 1 year. Do it in a year and a half, so you're only taking 4 classes instead of 5.
Yeah.
So that's just 4 classes you got to study for. Get better grades, and you're trying to work outside of that too, so that helps with that.
Right.
And then you're still applying for nursing school a semester before anybody who comes in without a lot of college.
Right.
And if you don't get in, that's not what we want. But if you don't, then you've got a whole nother semester. Go take some different classes, get your GPA even higher, take easy classes,
Yeah.
and then apply again.
Yeah.
And so that's that's kind of our plan going forward. But man, I'm so excited. Like I went up there, I was just like proud dad the whole time. And they do a good job. There is some rah, come here. We're a great school.
Right.
And they talk about all their accolades and the Carnegie Tier 1 research university and stuff like that. Like it's all the cool stuff. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
So one of my former students is there in the cardiology department.
Yeah.
So she graduated valedictorian of her class at the school that I work at. She just recently texted me and said that she passed all of her boards. I don't know exactly all the terms that she used, and I may get it wrong. Apologize if that's the case. But basically, she graduated at the top of her class, was able to pick whichever plan she wanted, whichever field of study.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That she wanted, and she chose pediatric cardiology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like one of the smartest human beings I've ever interacted with. And like in education, you run into those every once in a while, but very few times do they like meet their full academic potential.
Yeah.
And she's one of them.
Yeah.
I had this other kid one time, he read Tom Clancy. So I was teaching 8th grade U.S.
I love
history.
Tom Clancy.
But he would sit there and he would read his book. And I never got onto him.
Yeah.
Like, because he's literally reading historical fiction.
Yeah.
And he finished the STAR test in 18 minutes.
Wow.
And he scored a perfect score. So he's in 8th grade. Any teachers who are listening to this, in 8th grade, he passed the science, the social studies, the reading, and the algebra, the 8th grade math. He scored perfect scores on every single one, and he finished every one in less than 20 minutes. He now lives in like Brazil or something on the beach and is a multimillionaire multiple times over.
Yeah.
So
he did okay.
He did just fine.
Before we get off the school subject, I have a retraction. What do they call it on The View? A programming note?
Yeah.
One of the producers have handed us a programming note. I said a few podcasts ago that I felt like taking chemistry in high school from Kyle's dad.
He told me he talked to you about this.
The words he used were, I said it's a waste of time. Now, the internet lives forever. I haven't gone back and listened to the episode. I might have said that. But, the idea of learning and having to study, especially something that doesn't come natural to me, had great value in my time in high school. Of having, math comes pretty naturally to me. I can, but taking a subject like chemistry.
Right. I knew what you were saying.
A different,
He called me that night when he was listening to it. He was like, I can't believe he said that. I'm like, his feelings were genuinely hurt.
Yeah. The problem with the podcast, on the one hand, it is long form, so we can talk about things, but every once in a while we'll say something off the cuff, and there's more meaning behind that.
Correct. So there's more nuance to it. Speaking of nuance, the Twitch says that Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair is the best rivalry in sports. You don't know who either one of those
I know who Ric Flair is.
Dusty Rhodes is like from the 90s.
What do they do?
They're wrestlers.
So they're actors? So their rivalry is fake because they're actors? Okay. Sure.
For those, if you're new to the pod, I don't know exactly who this person is, but if you're new to the pod, Clint does not like wrestling.
I tried.
He says it's fake.
I tried to get my... I was like, man, my kids, because I have 3 boys and they all like to fight and wrestle all the time. I'm like, well, we're gonna get them into this. I couldn't. I
can't do it currently. I can't.
Maybe that's what it was. We were watching like a Friday night, whatever it is.
Do it right now. I'll go back and I'll watch the old stuff.
Maybe that's. I need to find some old YouTube stuff then. And
but you do have to be very careful because back in the late 90s, early 2000s was the D-Generation X version. So it was like Shawn Michaels, Triple H, X-Pacs, and there is a camera on their crotch most of the time. And then like China was on there, and it's usually in this region.
Yeah.
And so you have to be really careful
right.
when you're watching those. But if you're going to watch anything, you need to start like 1997 WCW.
I was thinking like, because I know a couple names. I was thinking I would go find some old Hulk Hogan stuff.
That's when Hogan joined at WCW.
Some Randy Savage.
Yep, Macho Man Randy Savage is
okay,
on there.
I could find some of that.
Sting, Lex Luger.
What about
the Hardy Boys?
It's not John Cena, but
yeah,
it's no. I know, but it's somebody else I'm trying to think of.
The Rock, Stone Cold.
No, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, he's on WWE.
Okay.
Well, it would have been WWF at the time.
I'm just gonna look them up by their name. Okay. I can't remember all this stuff.
Yeah. So you need to go watch when the NWO joins the WCW. That's peak WCW.
Okay.
And then as it goes, it's like 3 to 4 years. Then you get like Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, all of them in WWF, which later becomes WWE.
Okay. Well, to tie a bow on my programming note, I appreciate having to study and learn, and also I will say this, and I mean this genuinely. I mean all of it genuinely, but I would have hated to have to learn chemistry from anybody other than your dad.
It's fair.
Your dad was like, I said before on the last podcast, I hate ranking things, but I'll give you like a top 5. Your dad's easily a top 5 best teacher I've ever had.
He'll appreciate that.
He had a lot of fun. I had him for chemistry and physics.
Top 5 for me, Mr. Skidmore falls in that category.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll give him a top 5. So your dad, Skid, who taught us government and economics, my debate coach, who's in your district now, is doing something. I don't know what her actual title is.
Director of Communications.
Yeah, that sounds right. We called her Queen Anne, but she was our debate coach. My band director, because I did so much in band. So that's 4. I hope we don't have a lot of high school teachers who listen to this. I think really for if I go down to middle school, like my middle school years are rough. We were a rough class, and we had some rough teachers taking us to task for that. Yeah, in elementary school. I mean, but they're elementary school teachers. Everybody kind of loves their elementary school teachers. Like my kindergarten teacher was great. You know, my 4th grade teacher.
Was it Miss Magnus?
No, I had Gilliland.
Ah, okay.
My 4th grade teacher, Miss Bound, she was great. But I'm not putting him like, when I think of like top 5 teachers, like I may only have 4. That may be it.
So the only list that I have that would be different is I would add
Miss Carol for Spanish.
See, I didn't have Miss Carol.
Yeah, that was
unfortunately.
She was fun.
Me.
She was fun. You know.
So both my parents, Mr. Boris.
Yeah. What did your mom teach? Because I never had her.
Business, BCIS type class. You probably had Miss Key and multimedia. So she taught.
Miss Key, I forgot all about her.
And then, I don't know, I think I got to throw Miss Irby in there too.
Yeah.
Miss Prescott.
That is funny. As much as I love math, I didn't put any math teachers in there.
Yeah.
Because
Miss Irby didn't play, y'all.
Irby.
She did not play. I often think about, like, could these teachers have made it in this
I know
time?
exactly what you're going to say.
There's no way.
That one, Prescott could not have.
Miss Irby?
No, that's what I said. Irby, Prescott, neither one of them could have.
Miss Milby? No way.
Oh, man.
This is a very niche conversation.
It is.
So anyways, while we're talking about schools, Fort Worth ISD, Greenville ISD vote to not add a period of prayer. This is something that Representative Money talked about on the pod about how they were pushing for a period of prayer in certain school districts, in all school districts, actually. It was one of those things that was not mandated, but was highly recommended. Representative Money went to his home district and presented to the school board, and they still voted no.
Yeah.
This is kind of a weird thing for me because it's like, we kind of already do this. So at our school and any other school I've ever been at, so 6, there's a lot in the state, I get that. But of the 6 districts I've ever been at, they say the announcements, the Pledge of Allegiance, not particularly in that order, and then there's a moment of silence. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between 30 to 60 seconds.
Sure.
But I think what this is they're wanting an extended time of prayer.
Yeah.
And so this was kind of in the news the last couple of days ago, and
I meant to go and actually read what they were proposing before the pod, but I didn't get to. It wasn't anything teacher led. It's just
Correct.
There's a period of time, probably a shorter period than a standard educational instructional period, of where it's just like a silent time whenever, if you want to, you can use that time for prayer.
Correct.
It's
a slippery slope. That's what I think about it.
That, and I think I lean against it because I'm really against all of the fluff in the school day. I feel like our school day, and this is me talking.
To be clear, you have been in the classroom before.
Yeah, but sometimes it feels like the school day, like what time you have to show up to what time you leave and the minutes and all that, is centered more around keeping the kids in school while the parents are at work, more so than like we actually need you here this amount of time.
I concur.
Like even, and I understand like there's a lot of, and I apologize to the teachers for calling it fluff. That's just the word that's coming to mind. Like I know there's a lot of good time and good things going on when you're not actually just teaching, reading, writing, and arithmetic, to say that.
And history.
Yeah. My wife's a history teacher. I shouldn't leave that one out. But like even in high school, like there's just some times when it's like, especially like when they give in testing and these seniors are exempt.
Yeah.
And I understand that's a specific case, but it's like, come on, like that's one thing my daughter mentioned, because I was talking to her about registration and like how credit hours work, and it's a 3-hour class. So you're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour, or Tuesday, Thursday for an hour and a half, or hour and 20 minutes or whatever.
Right.
And she's been talking to friends that graduated last year that she was friends with that are up there now. And she's like, yeah, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he only has class from 10:30 to 1. And I'm like, yeah, that's how because you're only in class for instructional time. That's how college works.
Right.
You're only in for the instructional time. And there's other things you do, but that's going a long time on this one topic, but I'm essentially, I would be against that, just for like, let's have less fluff, like take some breaks, whatever. But
well, I think we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago, 56, 57, 58, somewhere in there, about how I have this idea about how education looks in the coming years. Mm-hmm. And I can't wrap my brain around exactly what it looks like, but it looks something along the college model.
Yeah.
To where maybe you do your 4 core in the morning, so from 8 to noon.
Yeah.
You're there. Especially, this is more secondary than
for sure,
elementary. And specifically more high school, because I think about this a lot. Like we have kids that are juniors and seniors that are required to be at school all day long, right, and they only have like your college classes.
Yeah.
So why are they required to be there? And it's a state thing. It's not like a district. This is not a district thing. This is a state thing. And so we should be able to let them get their classes done.
Yep.
And then go do something else. If that's extracurriculars in the afternoon, whatever.
Right. And that's the way college looked for me. I mean, I was a music major, so. But when I had my basics in the mornings, it was English and my math classes. Those were like right off the bat in the morning. Even my more academically focused music classes like theory and things like that and music history were always in the morning. And then all your ensembles are in the afternoon.
Right. And
like I have 6 kids. I've only had 2 come through secondary, one about to go into high school, one about to go into college. But I can tell you, we've had years where it was more difficult for them when they had a math or a science, it's 7th period in the day versus in the morning. And I know it'd be really tough to put everybody with their harder classes in the morning. Like, I don't know how that looks or works. And then you get more of the more elective type classes in the afternoon. It works great for sports to do it that way, and even your bands can do ensembles in the afternoons. And I know there's too many kids to push everybody, because then what are all your core teachers going to do in the afternoon if they're teaching all their classes in the morning?
Tutoring.
Yeah.
Like after the first grading period,
mm-hmm,
if you're not passing your classes, you don't go to extracurriculars.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not in a work study program, you don't go, you don't leave. And then you're pouring that time into your core classes.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like the kids that refers to probably need the extra time in class.
Yeah, that's true too.
And so like you're looking at it from that perspective, I think that's the wave of the future. Well,
that, and like think of it from a coach or a band director's perspective, or anybody who has a team that requires passing. Like they may miss your practice that afternoon, but they're going to not play at all if they fail. So you want them there in that tutoring.
Correct. I don't know. That would be a hard shift in education.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that everybody's quite mentally ready for that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that there's a lot of conversations being had in the educational circles.
Yeah.
Like, some of this is a waste of time. Why are we required to do this? And now TEA is pushing these 4-day schools to go back to 5 days.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So I don't know if that's going to fall on the legislative list of things this coming session in 27, or if they'll wait.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
We'll probably have to have money on again.
That'd be great. He said he'd come back. I think it'd be great.
Back.
Yeah, especially as we get into the next legislative session, which we have a whole nother year, but before that.
Yeah, but he's got to run for election, right? I know he was on the ballot.
Yeah.
So, but he was running unopposed in their primary.
Right.
So, I want to skip. I want to come back to it. But Jesse Jackson's funeral was this week.
Yeah.
We don't have any clips or anything from it, but one of the things I do want to point out is Jesse Jackson's grandson came out and asked, prior to the speaking of anyone, before anybody spoke the day before, they said, "Please, no politics."
Yeah.
At the funeral,
the whole family, not even just his grandson, his son Jesse Jackson Jr. said the same thing. Like, let's keep this out. He doesn't. His specific quote was something to the effect of, he didn't want it to become a political stage at his dad's funeral.
Now, just some things that Jesse Jackson was a part of. He was there with Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
He walked with Martin Luther King Jr. Now, like, I think that's kind of hard for us to realize because MLK died so early in life that this man walked with him. Mm-hmm. He was an essential part of the civil rights movement. There are so many quote unquote political things you could talk about that did not involve modern day politics.
Yeah.
And yet Obama, Kamala, and Joe Biden sort of talked about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what I keep thinking about is when this civil rights leader and their family asked this and the Democratic Party chose not to respect the wishes, what does that do to the African American vote? Like, what does it say about that particular section of people who are going to vote in the midterms? And I just can't help but wonder if that has an effect.
I think it'll be a negative, but probably a small one. And the only reason I think it'll be a negative is because, to me, trying to take a step back and just be very objective, it did seem like too much.
100%.
Like, it wasn't just one little jab here and there.
No.
Like, it really seemed like too much at a guy's funeral.
Obama talked about it for 8 minutes.
Yes. Like, that's too much. And I think that will backfire and that will be a negative. But also, looking at it objectively, I had no other expectation than for that to happen.
Fair.
Especially being in a midterm year.
Fair.
Like,
I just wish they'd use a different platform.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so many different ways nowadays that you can do that. This was not the time or the place. And I mean, Jesse Jackson was a political figure. We can't deny that. But after the family specifically asked for it not to be, I wish they had stepped away from that. And then the other thing that happened this week that is in this category, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in a little bit, but was Marco Rubio talking at the Shield of America or whatever in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things that I found interesting about that is Trump's the interpreter was having a hard time interpreting Trump because if you can imagine.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't. I sympathize for that person. But Rubio was having to interpret to the interpreter what he was trying to say. And so he gets up and he looks at Trump and he says,
that's another job for Rubio.
Yeah,
he's Trump's a Spanish interpreter now.
He looks at Trump and says, "Do you mind if I speak in Spanish?" And he's like, "Absolutely, that's fine."
Yeah, yeah.
And he then spoke to the delegation in Spanish, which was awesome. Like, it was fantastic. So on another thing, we've talked a lot about burgers on this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Probably too much. No, we have not talked about burgers too much. It's the greatest food on the planet.
I had a plan. I'm going to tell you about my plan here in a minute. But I wasn't able to do it. So did you see the McDonald's CEO video?
I saw him. I saw the video. And it seems like the Big Arch Burger is right up my alley.
Yeah.
It does seem like that. Like, when I saw you put this on there, I was like, what is he talking about? So then I Googled what the Big Arch was. And it's basically 2 quarter pounders, like a mixture of a double quarter pounder and a Big Mac. Is kind of what I understand. Yeah. So he live taste tests this thing on in front of people on a stream of some sort, and this was the outcome.
Chris K here with, you've heard about it, here it is, the Big Arch. This is something that we have tested already.
He's a robot.
In Portugal, Germany, Canada. I love this product. It is so good. I'm going to do a tasting right now, but I'm going to eat this for my lunch, just so you know. So here we go. First, holy cow. God, that is a big burger. We've got a very unique kind of sesame, poppy sort of bun on it.
Holy cow.
We've got 2 quarter-pound patties, a delicious Big Arch sauce, and of course some lettuce. So, there's so much going on with this. First of all, let's try to get this thing.
Can you pause it?
I don't even know how to attack it.
This is not.
He says, I don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah,
like it's not. Look, like it's not like he's talking about this burger. Like, have you ever been to those restaurants where they slide out a pizza and it's the size of the table?
That's what he's talking about.
There's a place like that in San Diego we ate at this past summer, and they slide this huge pizza out, it covers the entire table, and like he's talking about this burger like it's one of those pizzas. But look, like he's having to cup and bend his fingers, and they're going past the halfway point. Like, come on, man.
Our friend of the show, Mr. Wells. His burgers are bigger than this.
Oh yeah,
at the not the express place, but if you go to the
100% better,
and aesthetically, look nicer.
Yeah, like I feel like I have some food experience. When you are marketing a product, which he keeps calling this thing instead of a burger, like you make it look nicer when it's going to be on camera than what you could actually just go get at the restaurant. I feel like he went through a drive-through and 100%. Grabbed this, and they had no idea 100%. The burger they just made was about to be on a viral video. Here we go.
So much to it. There's also some crispy onions on here as well. I see those kind of coming out.
I do like crispy onions.
All right, the moment of truth.
Tiniest bite ever.
That is so good. That's a big bite for a Big Arch.
It looks like he didn't even bite it. Like there's some bread missing, but like there's hardly any meat taken off at all.
Distinctively McDonald's. Only McDonald's could do this type of burger, but it also is unlike anything else on our menu. It's a delicious product. You know, you've got sort of the cheeses and the gooiness. But
all right, we're done. What I wanted to do was I wanted to hand you a Wells burger on the podcast right now, so we could enjoy a real burger and a real bite of a real burger right now. But our friend of the show, who has amazing burgers, and if you're ever in the area, you have to go get one, is closed on Sundays, and we're recording on a Sunday afternoon. But that was my plan. I was going to do it, and I was telling my wife, like, I'm about to head up to town. I'm going to grab a couple burgers, and then as soon as I said it, I said, you know what? I'm pretty sure he's closed on Sundays.
He is closed on Sundays.
And which we respect and appreciate. I'll have to get one tomorrow. But what I loved were all the other burger people doing their parody videos. And so you can look these up. I think the best one is the Wendy's guy. This is only like 30 seconds.
These fresh, never frozen beef, our Applewood smoked bacon, our brand new bun, our square burger cooked on a flat grill. Amazing. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, that's what you call a bite of a burger.
That's a burger. This is exactly the way a great hamburger should be. You got to top it off with a fries and frosty.
Fries and the frosty. Are you a fries and the frosty person?
That is so much better.
Yes.
That is so much better of a.
Well, what's funny is the all the different, like the A&W. If you want to watch one, go look up the A&W CEO, because he like tries to mimic the exact, like he's like we've been testing this, and he names like random cities, you know, and then he talks about the sauce on. He's like, it's got, you know, sesame seeds on it. You know, he's trying to make fun of the McDonald's guy. If you like Meat Church seasonings,
right?
He does one. He actually gets a Big Arch box, and when he pulls it out, it's his burger seasoning. But he talks about all the cities he's been testing it in, and like he names like Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah,
like
that's hilarious.
Oh man, it's.
But I saw one where he like spit it out. The McDonald's guy, he takes like a napkin and he spits it out. He does this. And
That's so bad. He looks like a robot, man.
But like the thing is he's not wrong. But McDonald's does have a very distinct taste.
Yeah.
And if that's not something that you're like, he's probably, I'll be honest with you, I don't know this man from anybody. He could walk in this room, I wouldn't know who he was. But I'll be willing to bet he doesn't eat a whole lot of McDonald's himself.
No. But hey, when you're in our area, grab yourself a Wells burger. It's a good burger. I really wanted to have one on the podcast today. But
we tried to go there a couple of weeks ago after church.
it's crazy that two of like the best restaurants are closed on Sundays.
Yep.
And the whole thing is like, it's a Sunday.
Yep.
So,
well, the church that I go to, he talked about that this week.
Yeah.
How the Lord's Chicken is closed on
the Lord's Day.
Closed
on the Lord's Day.
Okay. So
we had a primary election.
We did have a primary election.
I love this stuff. We had soccer practice on Tuesday and it ended at 7:00. And I was telling my son, I was like, hey, we got to go. I got home. I got myself a bowl of chili that my wife had made for dinner. I got myself my MacBook. I put the recliner up and I sat in front of the TV. And I was telling my wife, she's like, we're going to watch our show. And I'm like, I'm watching my show. I was flipping back on the news stations, watching the returns come in. And I just love this stuff. So we had some surprises and some not surprises. The biggest race was, and this is washing out on the Twitch, but we'll put it up on the YouTube, the actual graphic, was the U.S. Senate. So John Cornyn's seat is up for re-election. John Cornyn has had primary challengers in the past. None of them have really come that close, but we knew this one was going to be close. You had Ken Paxton, the current Texas Attorney General, running against him for the Senate seat. Then, kind of later in the game, you had a state representative, Wesley Hunt. U.S. Congress, Wesley Hunt, get in the race. And I speculated, not that Wesley Hunt was doing this for this reason, but by Wesley Hunt getting into the race, that he'd given Ken Paxton a much better chance.
Agreed.
Because Wesley Hunt would have enough pull to push this to a runoff, and he did. In Texas, you have to get 50% of the vote, or 50.1% of the vote,
right,
to be able to advance to the November general election. If you don't, it goes to a runoff, which ours is May 26th. So, 2.5 months from now. So numbers wise, Cornyn got almost 43%. You've got, 42%, 41.9. Paxton got 40.7. So, Cornyn gets 1.2% more than Paxton. That's kind of how I saw that going. But Wesley Hunt gets 13.5%.
That was pretty close to the exact numbers you said.
Yeah.
It was pretty close.
I expected Wesley Hunt, I think I said, to get below 15. He would get double digits, but below 15.
Did he carry a county at all?
No. Not outright. Only Cornyn and Paxton did. So you can see from the map, Paxton is in the yellow. He got all the rural areas. Cornyn picked up every metropolitan area, that kind of 35 corridor, leaving Dallas-Fort Worth, going down through Austin, San Antonio. He picked up Houston. Also got kind of a Wichita Falls down into Stephenville, Abilene area, Cornyn did, and also up in the northwest corner of the Panhandle. So it's got very interesting, because if you had talked to me a couple weeks ago, I would have said, this is probably how it's going to shake out. Cornyn and Paxton will be close. If Cornyn had come away with 5, 6, 7% more, then I would say he's going to win the runoff. That's too much. But if he comes in, if they're all within 3 points of each other and Wesley Hunt gets his somewhere between 12 and 15%, then what you got to talk about is, where is the Wesley Hunt voter going to go from here? Because in the runoff, you can only vote for Paxton or Cornyn. I feel like a lot of Wesley Hunt voters, I think it's going to be split. I used to think that a lot of them would have gone to Paxton, that a lot of the Wesley Hunt voter was saying, we don't want John Cornyn. And so you could add those numbers together and say that's people against John Cornyn, but I don't think so anymore. I think there's probably a split of people voting for Wesley Hunt that are saying we don't want John Cornyn, and I think there's another half that's saying we don't want John Cornyn, but we also don't want Ken Paxton because of the baggage and the lawsuits and the criminal charges that he's brought and beat, and the impeachment that he beat, Like, got to add that all to it, to this race. I don't know that Paxton wins the runoff. I think there's going to be because, and we'll talk about this on the next slide, because Tallarico won the Democrat nomination outright. There's no runoff there. Tallarico will be on the ballot in November. And I think there are going to be a lot of Texas Republicans who are scared that Ken Paxton's baggage is going to be too negative and that he may not beat Tallarico, because we all have in our recent memory as Texas GOP Republicans voters of how close Beto Robert Francis O'Rourke came to Ted Cruz within 3.5 points, I think it was.
Yes, less than 5%.
And the state gets a little bit more blue every year because people move here. And I think there's going to be a lot of voters who don't take that chance. They're going to go with a safe bet of Cornyn. Trump put out a Truth Social saying that this can't go on. We have to unify and beat the guy in November, and that he was going to be coming out and endorsing someone soon. I haven't seen that endorsement yet as of our recording date, but all of the consensus is that Trump is going to endorse Cornyn.
Well, they also said that Paxton would drop out if...
That was his reply.
Yeah.
Basically to Trump's tweet, X, whatever you want to call it, Truth, that Paxton said, I'll drop out if you pass the SAVE Act. And then Trump came out today and said he's not signing any more bills until the SAVE Act gets passed. And so it's interesting. So is this a jab at John Thune, Senate Majority Leader, who is right in line with John Cornyn, to say, you guys, fine. Paxton's saying, fine, I'll drop out. Cornyn, you can stay as U.S. Senator for another 6 years until you're 80 years old, if you and Thune will go pass the SAVE Act. Because we haven't talked about this, and we can put it on the run sheet if we want and talk about it at a later date, but the SAVE Act is not 100% dead in the water, because they can filibuster it, but it depends on the type of filibuster, which the Senate leadership gets to decide. If it's a talking filibuster, then they've got to keep the podium, and when they don't keep the podium, then you get to vote. And if you have at least 50 votes, because J.D. Vance has the tiebreaker, then the law passes the Senate. If it's not a talking filibuster, then it just never gets to the floor. And so, and John Thune says he doesn't have, you got to have at least 50 votes. It's a simple majority to go to a talking filibuster.
Right.
And John Thune is saying he doesn't have it. I think that's hogwash. I think he's got it. I can see Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins are the moderate.
Democrat?
No, they're Republicans.
Moderate Republicans.
They're the definition of what you think of as a rhino. I could see them not voting for it, but you don't need them. You only need 50 because J.D. Vance can contest tie-breaking vote.
Well, and then Fetterman said he would vote for it.
Yeah, and he would vote for it. So there, you picked up a Democrat. So I think they have the votes, and I think this is a more or less a jab, which is great. I think the SAVE Act would be wonderful if it passes, and if it does pass, I wonder if Paxton actually drops out. Like, that would be crazy to me for him to put this much time and energy into it.
And money.
But I think like he might be looking at it and saying like, I think he might have expected to have a few more points, and he may not pick up all those Wesley Hunt voters.
Well, he doesn't have to pick up all of them.
No, but like for me, I'm a little bit scared, and my opinion could change before we get to the May 26th runoff. But if I had to vote today, I'd probably vote for Cornyn, because I like term limits. I don't like somebody serving from 74 to 80 in the Senate, but John Cornyn has given no evidence of not being there. He's still sharp. He's done some things and been more moderate in the past than I would have cared for, but Tallarico scares me, and maybe he shouldn't, but he scares me.
Two things. I don't want Trump getting in the way of this election.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
That verbiage that he used.
Yeah.
If the people want to vote, they voted. Now we have a runoff.
Right. And there's a lot of Republicans and leaders saying that, like, Trump, stay out of it.
Yeah. And
let the voters speak.
Let the voters speak, because then how are you any different than Biden?
Yeah.
So I reckon I will recognize that that's a presidential election and this is a state Senate spot.
Yeah.
I recognize that. Did you happen to run the numbers against Cornyn versus Tallarico, Paxton versus Tallarico?
Yeah, Cornyn does have an edge.
Okay.
But that was like 2 weeks ago. like a University of Houston poll. I haven't run them since the primary happened a few days ago, or I guess this past Tuesday.
And I couldn't find them on Thursday when I looked.
Yeah,
or Wednesday.
Well, they'll run those polls and then you get them like they run them for like a week.
Okay.
And you'll get like
so we get them this coming week.
This week, like for these 5 days or so. This is the poll. So it's only been 5 days since the primary, including today. So
yeah, I was hoping that Hunt would have closer to 15.
Yeah.
And I was hoping he'd have closer to 400,000 votes versus the 292.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
I do think he has a bright future in politics, though.
For sure.
Like, I hope that this doesn't kind of push him. I hope this doesn't push his political agenda down the river.
No, I think he had a good shot. I think he would have been good up against Cornyn, but he's never won a statewide election,
right? Where
Paxton has as AG,
right?
So
this was the race that I was the most interested in.
Yeah. Were you paying attention to on election night the Dallas County issues?
I was.
As it turns out, and I'm glad that Jasmine Crockett came out the next day and said she conceded to Tallarico. She didn't keep that battle going. Her supporters and her have kind of kept a little bit of the rhetoric going as she blamed Republicans for the issues in Dallas County. Like, trust me, Representative Crockett, Republicans would much rather have you on the ballot in November than Tallarico.
100%.
Republicans who know anything, we're not doing anything to keep you off the ballot in November.
100%.
They would be doing the exact opposite. But it came out that if you kept the same margins in Dallas, like throughout the day for the extra 2 hours, let me explain what happened. So Dallas County and Williamson County, which interestingly enough, Jasmine Crockett's from Dallas, Tallarico's from Georgetown, Texas, which is Williamson County, had separate Republican and Democrat primaries, separate places to go to.
Right.
Like when I went to vote, I went to the same building. If you're a Republican, Democrat, you go to the same place and you select on the screen which primary ballot you want.
And it was the same for me.
So in Texas, sidebar, I could have gone in and voted a Democrat primary ballot if I wanted to.
100%.
Texas does not restrict you. So some of these numbers on both sides are people doing that and pushing it a certain way.
100%.
But Dallas County and Williams County did it separate. So there were a lot of people who showed up to vote in those counties and were at the wrong place. So say that the Republican primary was at the place we always go to, and a bunch of Democrats showed up there and like, no, this is just for Republicans. You got to go down the street, and they didn't get their time. So a judge said, hey, you got 2 extra hours. We're going to keep the polls open until 9 p.m. instead of 7. Then the Texas Supreme Court overturned that. So Jasmine Crockett had a big issue with this. She said they basically stole the election from her. But at the end of the day, that was one county. And if they projected the numbers out of the people who voted up until 7 o'clock through 9 o'clock, nowhere close to the margin that Tallarico got. I mean, it's my old eyes here. It's 150,000 votes difference.
Yep.
So Tallarico got 52.5, Jasmine Crockett 46.2. So pretty huge difference. But as expected, Tallarico got that Central Texas block. That's where he's from. That makes sense. He also got South Texas around the valley. That makes sense a lot to me. And you see kind of the Panhandle in West Texas where Tallarico or Jasmine Crockett got all of East Texas. It's all green in her color on the map. And also Dallas, or her home county. So the third candidate,
oddly enough, she won Hopkins County.
Ahmad Hassan. Yeah.
Or he won Hopkins County. That kind of shocks me a little bit.
Yeah. But Hassan, the third candidate, who got 1.3, is that right?
Yes.
Of the vote, carried a whole county, got Newton County, right there on the border of Louisiana.
Okay, I didn't even know where that was.
Yeah. So Tallarico scares me. He's a silver-tongued devil, and I've seen a lot of people that I know on Facebook who are more conservative-minded who are like, no, you've got, like, someone will make a comment, it'll post something that he said, and I've seen way too many comments of people I know who are like conservative, Christian-minded people who are like, no, you're taking what he said out of context, like defending him, and that scares the snot out of me.
Okay, I would have fallen in that category had I not done some research.
Yeah.
Like if you really just listen to his clips, he speaks well.
Yes.
He is very conscious that he's on camera.
Yeah.
Good tone to his voice. And we talked about this with Representative Money. And I agree with his education policies, but that's it. Right? And
well, he says a lot of things that sound good.
and they sound good. However, he also says some stuff that is way crazy.
Yeah.
And so
And just flat out wrong.
And just not correct.
Yeah.
And so I would highly, 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 highly encourage people to make sure you do your research fully before you just go throw your eggs in one basket.
And I hate to tell someone not to vote for someone just because of their party. But at the end of the day, it's not the ideas of James Tallarico that will guide what the U.S. Senate does.
Correct.
If they have a majority. And that's like, it's hard and I don't like it, but that's just the way it is. Like you have to, if you want to go vote for James Tallarico, you have to be on board lock, stock and barrel with Chuck Schumer.
And AOC.
Yeah.
And Bernie Sanders, because that's
Bernie
the
Sanders,
category
sure.
that he's going to fall
Elizabeth
into.
Warren. Yes. Like
Those
you've got
are
to be, those are the ones that are going to be pushing the agenda, not junior senator from Texas, James Tallarico.
But also the things that he talks about falls in lock and step with what they say as well.
Yeah.
Not a moderate Democrat like like Fetterman.
Right. Exactly. And I don't like it all. Like I have no problem with at all 100% of any politician being someone who has faith, they're a Christian, they're a believer. I've got no issue with that, but I do not like how he is essentially using that to try to get elected.
100%.
He's essentially saying, I'm a Democrat, but I'm going to speak these words that kind of resonate with the Christian who is normally on the right and try to trick you into getting that vote.
Yeah.
And it is a trick. Like
it is a trick.
Yeah. He's using that language to trick people into voting for him. Off of that, back to more Texas AG. So this one we'll talk just a little bit about. I don't have a lot of thoughts about this. Like I knew it was going to be Maga Mays Middleton and Chip Roy. Joan Huffman, judge out of Houston. Aaron Reitz had the governor's endorsement and finished fourth. So
that's a weird choice. I never did really figure out why Abbott came out and supported him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But Maga Mays had Trump's endorsement. That obviously carried here. One of Trump's endorsements didn't carry in another race we're going to talk about. But I don't know. Like, I think Mays Middleton may have it. I think Chip Roy is going to have a hard time. I think a lot of the Joan Huffman, Aaron Reitz, and again, I haven't analyzed this to the level I probably should have, but will go to Maga Mays and not Chip Roy.
I like Chip Roy better, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
Also, this one's not on the slide, but Texas Governor Abbott won 81%, 81.8. Doc Pete Chambers got 11%.
Yeah.
Didn't carry a single county, so it was overwhelmingly for Abbott.
Yeah. And I get it. There's people out there who just don't like Abbott and want their voices to be heard. Like, hey, I've got no problem with that if you want your voice to be heard in the primary. But when it comes to November, I don't want that person who is conservative voting for Gina Hinojosa and not Greg Abbott.
Yeah. I think Abbott will win, and obviously we'll talk a lot about this as it gets closer, but I think it's going to be closer than what most people think. She's very popular.
Yeah. Well, it'll
and
depend.
Name recognition too.
It'll depend if they pollute the race with independents, because Rick Perry won in, oh gosh, was this 06? Maybe. Pulling my brain here. So Chris Bell ran as an independent, which, funny enough, Chris Bell ran against Gina Hinojosa in this one on the Democrat side. But he ran as an independent in 06, and also Kinky Friedman. That was the year of Kinky Friedman. I think it was 06.
And he did that's about right.
And they both got like 15% of the vote. Yeah. And so like Rick Perry won with like 38 or 39%.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but the fan used to be Live 105.3.
Yeah.
And Russ Martin endorsed Kinky Friedman because he thought his name was funny.
Yeah.
And so he would have him on, and he would come on and say the wildest things.
Yes, he was crazy.
And so, but like that drew that vote.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
And so like you can in Texas, and just like you can with the presidential race, like you could, I mean, Ross Perot is that example there, but they could dilute with 2 or 3 strong independents. Right. And then then it gets closer and closer. But I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think Greg Abbott's going to have his historic 4th term as the Texas governor. On to ag commissioner, we talked a lot about this one. I was shocked, not just surprised. Not that Nate Sheets did well. I was shocked he won it, and he won it outright. Like, this isn't going to, oh, man. But Sid Miller, you can talk all day long. I know our friend of the show, like we talked about, Lee Wells, would have a lot of opinions on why Nate Sheets won. I have 2 just for my outsider looking in, not as like an agribusiness professional in the state. Obviously, Lee Wells has a lot more knowledge around this. But I think 2 things happened. One, Abbott endorsed Nate Sheets. Abbott does not like Sid Miller. Sid Miller's pushed back against Abbott in a lot of things he's done. Truckers coming across the border from Mexico, some of the COVID stuff he fought against and signed on to a lawsuit against Abbott about. So that's not good if you want Abbott's endorsement. So Abbott, the governor endorsed Nate Sheets, but also Sid Miller ran a really negative campaign.
100%.
And he said a lot of things about Nate Sheets that were just flat out gross and not true. And then Nate Sheets came out and said, yeah, we're going to fire everybody. One of the things that Nate Sheets said was that they were running the campaign from the ag commissioner's office, which is 100% illegal. You can't use public funds in public even spaces. If you watch The West Wing, you will see they're campaigning in one of the midterms, and Josh, who's the deputy chief of staff, keeps making his assistant Donna go out of the White House across the Lafayette Park to make phone calls, because President Bartlett is so in tune to this rule, he won't even let political campaign phone calls, even on your personal cell phone, be made from White House property. So I heard that from Nate Sheets. I like it. I looked up the guy. Sid Miller, just to me, and I know there's like I say, our friend of the show, Lee Wells, could say a lot more about this than I can. He just seemed to be really just kind of almost like he was taking the post for granted, more reactionary, not proactive, the whole screwworm thing. I feel like he was really late to that party.
100%.
And then what he was proposing doing, I was like, I'm not, an agriculture guy. I mean, I grew up with cows and everything and on a farm, so to speak. But even me, that looks like you have no idea what you're talking about or have no plan to fix it.
Yeah.
But Sid carried, county-wise, a lot of the state. But Nate won those metropolitan areas. You got your Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and Houston, and El Paso. He picked those up, Lubbock, whereas Sid Miller carried the rest of the state. But Nate Sheets won. What is that, 52-47?
Yes.
So
he's
a bee farmer.
That was one of the things.
I like bee farmers.
That's one of the things that Sid said, that the only farming in agriculture that Nate Sheets has is bee farming. Yeah. So it was like little emojis across the thing. Yeah. And it was like Sid Miller, and it's like a cow, a goat, a sheep, and then Nate Sheets was a bee.
Hey, we got to have the bees.
They were out. The bees were out today.
Yeah.
Almost got stung a couple times.
Other notable races, got a couple on here. Chase Yarborough in our district, Texas 32. Chase Yarborough, this shocked me too. Almost won outright. He almost got over 50%. Going into the night before I went to bed, he had over 50%. And I was like, this guy is going to come in here and win this thing outright. He had, so that was cool, but he got 49%. Ryan Binkley got 21.7. They'll go to a runoff. Surprised me somewhat that Texas District 2, Dan Crenshaw lost his seat to Steve, not even a runoff. Steve
this
Toth
doesn't shock me at all.
Got 56%. He's had some inconsistency, but he's a household name, and he's a U.S. congressman that is known nationally.
Yes. However,
he has an eye patch,
Yeah. There's some scandal surrounding him, though. Yeah. And there were several votes that a lot of conservative people that he voted against.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't have shocked me if he won, but it also didn't shock me that he lost.
I think, I'm not surprised. I think what I'm shocked about is that it wasn't a runoff.
Okay.
That he,
he lost, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily have a problem with these types of seats like this, because then you're starting to see the turnover of people are tired of the same old.
Yeah, for sure.
And like even a Sid Miller, right? Everybody looks at the price of beef and is like, this is a problem. You're the person that's supposed to be in charge of this, fixing this, and you haven't.
Yeah.
And then you have a person that has this big social media following, like a Lee Wells, who does have that agricultural background.
Yeah.
And you kind of underplayed that card.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all honesty, he should have reached out to Lee Wells.
Yeah.
He should have taken the meeting. He sat right here and told us he did not. He would not take the meeting.
Yep.
And that, I believe, is what got Nate Sheets the votes that he got, because when you have the following that he has, although nationally it's not a really big one, but he won every county that I would be willing to bet that that Lee Wells has some sort of a political say in it.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at the map, it tells that story.
Yeah. I like this one. And Texas 18 is a Democrat district. So Al Green is the guy that gets kicked out of the State of the Union every time. Not every time. I mean,
several times.
But last year, and we'll talk about the State of the Union here in a second, but last year it was not a State of the Union. It was a joint address to Congress. But then just when we were recording last time, the State of the Union was going on, and Al Green, just within the first few minutes, makes a fool out of himself and gets escorted out again. So I like that the good people of the Texas 18, or at least sending this to a runoff. It looked like
he might.
Christian Menifee might win it outright, but then some other numbers came in. So Menifee got 46, Al Green got 44, and that will go off to a runoff. But I'll be glad if Al Green's not in the Congress anymore. Even if Christian Menifee votes the same way he did, maybe he'll do it with more class. Our girl Valentino for Congress. We played her video in the last podcast.
The only reason I was even looking at this race is because of you.
In good old Texas 31 down there around Austin, she only got 11%. But you know what? Her videos are fun. So John Carter won that. He's the incumbent. He got 60 or so. And then Mark Teixeira of baseball fame won Texas 21 with 61%.
Whose spot is he taking?
I don't know.
I don't remember who he was running against.
No, I just saw that he ran in 21. There was a few others in that, but I don't think I recognized any of the names.
I'm not shocked by that either. That's a huge name recognition thing.
Yeah, but how is it? I don't know. His fame is from the Yankees.
He was a Ranger.
I know he was a Ranger.
Yeah, he started his career here.
Oh, I didn't know he started here.
Yeah, so people who are our age.
I can't remember if he was there first and came here more closer to retirement, or he started here and then
he got traded there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think
that
he lives here.
That fares better for him.
Yeah, I think he lives here.
Yeah, I mean he'd have to. Yeah. Now anyway.
No. I'm saying like he has always kept his home here
in Texas.
In Texas, I don't know exactly which location he lives in. I mean, a couple of the other ones I voted for in Hunt County, the Justice of the Peace that I support did not win.
Oh,
she got 31% of the vote, and it's just a simple majority, so she did not get it. But it was close. I mean, it was really close. There was only 6,000 votes cast, and she got about it was closer to 9,000. Excuse me. She got around 3,000. Yeah. The other person got like 35 and 33, and so she got third. But still, ran a great campaign. I saw her over the week, and I just said, hey, that's nothing to be disappointed about, especially in a county like that that's relatively small. And you received a third of the vote, essentially.
Right, for sure. I in my county, they tried to do some change with one of the commissioners and the county judge, but the incumbents won both of those. So,
Other than that, I think that I'll definitely be paying attention to the Chip Roy race.
Yeah.
And then I'll also be paying attention to the Cornyn Paxton runoff. And then my sole focus will be on whoever wins that runoff against Tallarico.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like even if Paxton doesn't drop out because they don't pass the SAVE Act or whatever, if that even happens, I mean, if they pass the SAVE Act, Paxton could not stay in the race and still win it. Like you can't say, I'm going to drop out if this happens and then say, well, now you need me more than ever. You can't pull one of those. So, I don't know, man. It's exciting. We'll see what happens. But there's still a lot of time after that May 26th runoff to campaign. I think Cornyn has a better shot. It'll be interesting to see when polling comes out.
Yeah.
Wesley Hunt had the best shot against Tallarico.
Yeah, I saw that.
in that early polling.
I saw that
before the primary. So,
and that makes sense.
yeah,
it makes logical sense. To the State of the Union, I ended up watching most of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pop and circumstance.
It's the longest ever.
Longest ever. Two things I wanted to point out. First off,
They need a what do they call it with the NFL, like an all 22, where they just show, or like, you know how if you
like on Red Zone.
Yes, or not only that, but like you could watch a game the next day or the next week on NFL Network, and it skips all the pauses, and like you could get literally a game in an hour because it's just when the clock's running.
Yep.
They need one of those for the State of the Union, and somebody probably does it. There's
100%.
probably
you can find it on YouTube.
There's probably a website out there that does it, that cuts out all the applause lines, because we know how much you don't like those.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
And just gives but still, it was, you know, a pretty long speech.
Two things. One, Barron Trump is a massive human being.
He's so tall.
He's so tall, and just doesn't seem to be bothered by anything.
No. Which
I can't quite figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Can't really. I don't know. I don't really know about that.
I mean, I'm not saying this is a negative against him at all, but if you're saying that the guy basically looks around at the world like dad is super rich and the president of the free world, I think that's kind of the demeanor he gives off. Is
100%.
like, come at me, bro. Like,
Yeah.
my dad's the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
And we're really rich.
Yes.
You know?
Yes to both of those things.
Yeah.
The next thing that I found interesting is the clip that you had. He kind of
Stephen A. Smith is running.
100%.
He's running.
Yeah. And,
I didn't know for sure. He's running.
and he has a good shot at winning.
Oh, yeah.
But Stephen A. Smith talked about the Democratic Party.
Winning the Democrat nomination.
Yes.
Or do you think he'll run as an independent? I think he'll run as a Democrat,
I'm not sure yet.
but we'll see. Yeah.
He talks about the Democrats. Trump says something along the lines, if you support American citizens and you support the right of whatever, I'm butchering exactly what he said.
He said if you believe the primary focus, the primary job of the United States government should be to support American citizens, stand up.
And not a single one stood
Not a
up
single-
except for friend of the show,
Yeah.
Fetterman.
In a hoodie and everything.
I think he had a suit on.
He
that
did have
day.
a suit
He did
on.
have
Yeah.
a suit on.
He's come off of that. Go back and listen to the early episodes if you want. We had a lot of talk about Fetterman's hoodies and shorts, but he started wearing suits now.
Yeah, let's play this clip.
Okay, so nobody stands up.
Yeah.
73 Dems don't show
Yeah.
up to the thing. And this again gets me to the first question, which is, if someone like you, who is a moderate, again, putting aside some of the issues,
Sure.
if you were actually running, putting aside who the competition would be, to me, it's obviously a Republican, because you would have stood up. Would you not have stood up if you were?
I absolutely would have stood up. And here's the thing. Elizabeth Warren stood up when he talked about, insider trading issues within the United States government with elected officials and how that had needed to be eradicated. She stood up to support that. Why wouldn't you stand up to support what he said? And you have to anticipate. He's playing them like a fiddle. Yeah. He knows they're not going to stand up. He knows how bad it's going to make them look. I would have called this bluff, and I would have stood up and I would have said, you're damn right, because the bottom line is, you got to remember, he's the key words that came out of his mouth. He said American citizens. So there are plenty of people who are American citizens who are of the same ethnic consent, consent as the immigrants and migrants are. You have people who are Hispanics. You have people who, wherever they're from, it could be Venezuela, it could be Guatemala, it could be Mexico, it could be anywhere, who are American citizens. So when he said American citizens and American citizens first of all, that's the right thing, because it should be American citizens first, number one. And number two, for people on the left, some of them, not most, not all, but some of them coming out and saying that what he said was racist. Well, how exactly? Because you're looking out for America. And we gotta be mindful of what we mean when we say that.
Yeah.
He's 100% correct.
He is. And I love making the point that when you talk about immigration or when you talk about supporting American citizens, you're not talking about white people. And if you think you are, and if you're a Democrat out there saying, well, when they talk about supporting American citizens, they're only talking about white people, then what are you saying to the people who aren't white, who are American citizens? You don't matter? I don't see you? You don't exist?
Right.
Like, and that's exactly what Stephen A. Smith, a black man, is saying.
And it's just such a bad look. It's just such a bad look. And you knew as soon as he said that what was going to happen. It was going to pan to the left, to his right, stage left, or whatever, and it was going to show who stood and who didn't.
Right.
Because that's what happens in that event. And the Democratic Party did not, most of them.
And, you know, hey, Trump is a TV guy. He's theatrical, and he knew exactly what was going to happen whenever he did it, and he did that on purpose, and that's all water under the bridge. My thing about Stephen A. Smith is that he's saying a lot of good things, but he is getting to react to other people doing all of these things. It is different if he actually runs.
Right.
And then he's having to come up with primary content.
Right.
For why he should get your vote. So we'll see how he does whenever that happens. But I do hope, because we talked about this, he does not run as an independent, because then, like, you have Stephen A. Smith and J.D. Vance running, they're going to steal votes from each other. They make a lot of sense. Stephen A. Smith will steal a lot of Democrat votes,
right,
but not enough.
Right.
And I think that gives you a Democrat president. So, but State of the Union was good. Like I say, I don't care for Trump's speaking style. You know, I listened to what he said. He said a lot of good things.
In my U.S. history class, I'm teaching Obama. I just finished it, and we listened to his first State of the Union address.
Yeah,
and it was so smooth.
It is, man,
so smooth. Like just talking, just speaking to people. Yeah. And getting his message across. There's no stuttering. There's nothing like that. It's just amazing how good of a speaker he is.
It's, you know, growing up in the recent presidents that I've paid attention to, it would be hard to imagine someone coming along better than Bill Clinton. But Obama was definitely that.
Yes.
They've had some very smooth talkers. And like on the Republican side, we've had W and Trump, you know. Now, Reagan was great. But, you know, Reagan left office when I was 6 years old. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. State of the Union is fine. Stephen A. Smith is onto something. He has been onto something. He and Bill Maher and John Fetterman are the three Democrats actually making sense. It will be a fun, once we get through, you know, this May runoff and into the November general, that's when the presidential campaign will heat up. That's when we'll find out who we got and what's going to happen. So,
and then it's 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Of 2 years of campaigning. It's going to be, I love it. People hate it, but I love it.
All right, so the real news of the week, Iran war. Well, is it not a war? Is it a war?
Yeah.
Are we? That's a big question of the week.
This is one of those things that I feel like we'll talk about for several episodes, because I think it's going to keep going on, but there's so many different facets and things you can talk about.
Lots of nuance.
I did not expect this or see it coming. And then when it happened, I thought, okay, well, we've done some more strikes like we did before. This is more than that.
Yes.
And like our military, as of this recording, has completely obliterated the entire Iranian Navy.
Yes.
I own more boats than the Iranian Navy right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how I feel just yet. And I heard Bill Maher talk about it. I meant to throw the clip up there, but
I saw it.
He just basically said, I'm with Trump at the moment.
Yeah.
Because there's no boots on the ground.
Right.
It appears, I mean, we've lost 7 people, 7 soldiers, but we've also been able to maintain control of those things. The Strait of Hormuz at the moment, I'm probably saying that wrong, is closed.
Yeah.
That needs to open back up pretty quick.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, it's closed because nobody wants to go through it.
Right.
Trump said it's open. Trump said we'll escort you through it, but nobody wants to go through it.
Can't say that I blame him.
Yeah, right.
Can't say that I blame him, especially if you're a business and those ships are very, very valuable.
They are, and so are the people on them.
100%.
And if something happens to one of those ships and your people pass away, like, it's not just the loss of people, but imagine the lawsuit that comes your way when you're like, yeah, no one else was going through the Strait of Hormuz, but we decided to send one of our ships through.
Right.
Look what happened. Like, it's really hard to see that doesn't get into a protracted lawsuit that costs those companies a lot of money, setting aside them caring about and wanting to protect their people and their assets. I don't know. Like, it was cool. Like, I agree. I think everyone from our generation is apprehensive about boots on the ground for good reason. I've seen plenty of tweets and stories and reels and things like that Trump is quietly considering it. I think as a commander in chief of the United States forces, you have to always be considering these things. I just hope that he is against it as he has come out as being before, because that is definitely the fear mongering on the left, is saying, well, we're just going to get to another protracted quagmire.
And the problem is they are not wrong.
Well,
like in
the
historically speaking, they're not wrong, right? We saw what happened in Afghanistan. We saw what happened in Iraq. We saw what happened in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Those are still recent. Like yours and my generation doesn't really remember too much about Vietnam or the Korean War.
Yeah.
But we definitely have family members, uncles and dads that fought in Desert Storm. And then we have literally friends that died in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah. And so I fear that this is the same type of thing that we're not going to be able to get out of very easy. At the moment, March the 8th, I'm okay with it.
And I also don't want to be the guy that's over here like not wanting to engage
100%,
just for the fact that it will be difficult or that lives could be lost. Like I don't, as the American military, as an American, I don't think that's an attitude we should have, is like, no, we don't want to send anybody over there because somebody might get hurt. Like, I don't think that's the attitude we should have. I think where we're coming from is like after when we got into the Iraq war, we got into Afghanistan, it just like no one really knew what we were doing over there or why. It got to that point pretty quickly for me. And like, we don't want to get there again. Now, I do think you'll see certain special, I'm not going to say special forces because I don't know enough about the military to use those words intelligently. But that type of actor, military going in to secure the uranium that Iran had or has, I definitely can see those boots on the ground. But I think what we're talking about is thousands of troops landing,
tens of thousands of troops
landing. into a invasion.
And there was a report that came out yesterday and this morning, and before I want to put a pin in that statement, the amount of AI generated video and bots that are posting about this is unbelievable, and it's so difficult to determine what is real and what is fake, and determine who is saying truth and who is not. And so even some of the more reputable sources are real hesitant because you're like, well, was this real? Like I saw a video in like the AP and Al Jazeera America put out a building in Tel Aviv that was struck, and that wasn't even close to true.
Yeah.
And so it's just so difficult. A couple of things that go along with this. I want to come back to 13 and 14. I want to talk about the friendly fire first.
Yeah.
Or whichever you want to do. Which one you do first?
Yeah, that's fine.
Kuwait, they did have friendly fire. And I saw here you put the Kuwait F-18. I did see that. I didn't know they had those.
They do. I have a friend, and Wednesday night I was hanging out with him. We were sitting on a couch, and he flies Air Force jets, not fighters, but still, he works out at our defense contractor place. He's an Air Force pilot, and I was talking about it. I said, I'm just going to tell you what I've seen, and I don't know if you've heard anything else. If you can't say, that's fine. Don't say. But I was like, was it really a single F-18 that shot down 3 Eagles? And he said, that's what they're saying. And I don't know if that's him saying that's what he thinks or he knows something different and can't tell me. I have no idea. But that seems crazy to me. And what is even crazier about it, the F-15 has never never had an air-to-air kill.
Right.
The F-15 has never had an air-to-air kill. It has never been shot down by another aircraft.
Right.
Ever. So that would be the first, and 3 of them from one aircraft. Like that seems, I don't know. You can decide if you want to believe that or not. I don't know.
It seems to be true.
Yeah. I follow a bunch of people, but it was cool. He did point me to, he's like, did you see the F-35 shoot down the Yak 130? And I was like, no. Which a Yak 130 is no match for an F-35.
I did see that.
Generation wise.
Not even close.
No.
If I remember correctly, the Yak 130 is like a like a Vietnam era jet.
It's a
Russian jet.
Yeah, and it's
this is the first air to air kill for an F-35.
Yeah, Yeah, so that's pretty cool for that platform.
U.S. sub sinks an Iranian ship for the first time since World War II. This is the first time that we've seen a nuclear sub sink.
Any sub.
Well, any sub. You're correct.
Yeah.
Sink a ship
Since World War II.
That's crazy, man.
Isn't it though? But then like you think like we weren't, I mean, I guess when you think about the conflict in Cuba, you think about Vietnam, after that, Korea, those are all land-based wars. Like, you know, the Navy wasn't the key factor in those. So that kind of makes sense. But then you have all the Cold War stuff,
Right.
you know, which nobody's really shooting,
Right.
Or sinking anyway.
Well, and I think too, a
That's
lot of the sidebar conversation, I'm reading a lot about the Cuban Missile Crisis because that's what the academic UIL social studies test is over. And so a lot of those blockades that were happening were against commercial ships,
Yeah.
not necessarily military. And
Yeah.
so I don't think that either the Russians or the United States wanted to sink a commercial ship during
Right,
that time period.
Right.
And then there was something about an exercise that was happening in India, and this Iranian ship was coming back from that ship,
Yeah.
from that exercise. I can't really determine if that was real. It appears to be, but then like there's multiple sources that say that they had already come back and gone back out.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's hard to tell what is there.
But it's, you know, like they say, like J.D. Vance has said, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, there's no match for our military. And I just hope. It is hard to imagine that we could do what we've done from the sky, from the sea, and not have to support the Iranians on the ground in some way to develop their own government. I do believe Trump. Now, there's plenty of people who don't like Trump. He'll say that he wants to go in there and run Iran. I do believe that Trump genuinely wants the freedom fighters and the people of Iran to run Iran. They just don't want the Ayatollah to run Iran anymore. You guys create your own system of government. We'll help wherever you need it. I don't know how we can do that without putting people on the ground.
But I also think their neighbors want them
Yes.
to run their own government.
That's the thing.
So
like
I
we had a
think
ton of support.
100%.
It wasn't just the U.S. and Israel. Like it's the U.S. and Israel started the thing, but everybody, especially when they started shooting rockets into the UAE
Yeah.
and Kuwait, you know, and Kuwait shot us down. Man.
I just don't. The thing that I don't like is how the image of, it's hard to determine what's real and what's fake. Okay. I saw one image where a missile went into a base and there was some sort of like not a deflection, but explosion that ended up in a school,
Yeah.
an all girls school. I saw that. And then the next one I saw was an Iranian kind of missile that was misfired, and then it went in and hit this school that was full of girls.
Yeah.
Either way, those are tragedies, and it's so hard for me to wrap my brain around like that's not okay either.
Yeah.
So like if the Americans accidentally did this, because I don't think we would intentionally
For sure.
blow up a school. Like politics aside, I don't think that's the goal. However, this is a tragedy, and for anybody to say anything different, and I haven't heard Trump say anything about this particular incident. I haven't heard Hegseth or Rubio or J.D. Vance say anything about it, but it's just that's a tragedy that happens when this kind of thing happens, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to what the Iranians are saying.
100%.
Because if the U.S. or Israel are blowing up schools in Iran, you're going to hear about it.
Yes.
Whether, like, you don't have to wait and wonder if the U.S. or the Israeli military are covering up something they did, mistake-wise or otherwise. You're going to hear about it. So, like, it's going to change the narrative. It's going to be talked about, and I'm not seeing that. So that's
a very valid point.
Yeah, that's what I look to whenever you see this happen. What you do see are Iranians talking about the 30,000 people that were killed by the Iranian government before the U.S. and Israel took action.
And that has been so quickly forgotten.
Yeah.
By so many people.
Well, I can't say her name, but she's well known. She's been on Bill Maher. She has very big hair. She usually wears a flower in her hair. It probably has some significance to Iran that I don't know about. but she's one of their freedom fighters and protesters. And she got all over Kamala Harris for saying, you want to talk about the loss of life from this action that the U.S. and Israel are doing by killing the killers, but you had nothing to say whenever they killed 30,000 innocent people just recently, not like over time, just recently. And you had
within the
nothing
last
to say.
3 months.
And she finished her statement with saying, like, who are you?
Right.
Like, how can that be a case? And this is an Iranian woman who has been fighting for this for years.
Right.
So, like, that's what I mean. Like, I listened to, it's the same thing with when we talked about when Trump went in and took Maduro. Like, what are the Venezuelans saying? The Venezuelan Americans and the people in Venezuela. What are they saying?
It was overwhelmingly in support of it.
Right. And so you had Mandami come out and say this whenever it happened.
Today's military strikes by the United States and Israel mark a catastrophic escalation in an illegal act of war, of aggression. Bombing cities, killing civilians, opening up a new theater of war. Americans do not want this. Americans do not want another war in pursuit of regime change. We want an answer to the affordability crisis. We want peace. Now, I may be a young mayor, but I am old enough to remember the devastating consequences of our country's pursuit of regime change in this same region not that many years ago. Now, my focus is on keeping New Yorkers safe. I've been in close contact with our police commissioner and emergency management officials. We are increasing agency coordination as well as patrols of sensitive locations out of an abundance of caution. And additionally, I want to speak directly to Iranian New Yorkers. You are a part of the fabric of this city. You are our students, our artists, our small business owners, our neighbors, our community leaders. You will be safe here.
So I thought it was interesting that he found it necessary to call out and talk to Iranian Americans living in New York City, wanting to let them know you are safe here. We're not going to let the big bad president come get you. But this is actual Iranian American citizens in Times Square on that day.
Trump, thank you. Trump, thank you. Trump, thank you. Trump, thank you. Trump, thank you.
So that's actually in Times Square, Iranian Americans, what they were saying, versus Mandami over here thinking that he somehow needs to protect them from Trump.
Yeah.
Like to make it political, but if Trump can, for lack of a better way, pull this off before the midterm elections, they'll have nothing. Because everything Mandami said is a fear, and we can have a sliding scale on each thing that he said on the legitimacy of that fear. Right? I don't think the Iranian Americans are in danger in New York. Now, there could be some crazy bad actors who have screws loose or have mental health issues that may try to take action against them, but not from the government. But as far as, like we talked about, getting involved back, into regime change in the Middle East, that we can have a sliding scale on the legitimacy of that fear. But if Trump is able to pull this off without doing that, then like everything he just said, everything Kamala Harris has said is just completely false.
Well, and he talked about the illegal action of this. And so that was a very big talking point over this week.
Yeah.
There's two things about this. The first thing is about the War Powers Act. Sent that over to Clint. And there are multiple steps that have to be taken. And essentially, in the worst case scenario, I don't say worst case scenario, in the scenario where we do attack someone and there needs to be a declaration of war, the president doesn't have to do anything towards Congress until 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
Even if they decide to put boots on the ground, then there has to be a declaration of war. And then essentially even if the Congress decides, okay, we do not want this, then there's even an extension from 60 to 90 days that they have to get them out. So when we look at this, like, it's not that the government, or excuse me, that the executive branch is doing anything that's not within the powers of that branch. There were 2 votes held this week, one in the House, one in the Senate. Both said, no, he's following the War Powers Act. Yeah, there's no restrictions. And then, slide 18, you have Marco Rubio speaking to the Congress. Okay, go ahead.
Take a step beyond this. Like, the Congress declares war, but we haven't declared war since World War II.
Correct.
And a lot of presidents on both sides have been involved in conflicts
correct
since that time.
Yes.
So just keeping that, Congress doesn't declare war every time it happens, and they have AUMF, the authorized use of military force, is what we're talking about with that 60 to could be extended to 90 days. But since 9/11, they've all operated under that same AUMF for all of these actions. Court cases have tried to say you can't, and they've all failed.
Right.
So for the last 25 years, the government has operated in the Middle East under the 9/11 AUMF. So that means like Trump for Iran, if the AUMF for 9/11 still stands for Iran, doesn't even need this 60-day window.
Correct.
He can continue. We can put boots on the ground if he
Correct.
so chooses to, which we talked about, without having to go to Congress. So that, Congress has the job of declaring war. The president has the job as commander in chief, and like equal but separate powers.
Well, and the one of the great things about this is you then have a great communicator like Marco Rubio speaking to the press right after they came out of their oversight committee meeting.
I need to send you a clip of him predicting this when he was a senator. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah,
we should post that.
I shared it. I didn't
Okay,
post it, but I
okay.
did share it. And I'll come back to that because I do want to talk about that. But this is Marco Rubio after the oversight committee talking about the Gang of Eight.
Not notify Congress ahead of this, and does Congress?
Well, we did. We notified Congress. I mean, we notified the Gang of Eight. We notified congressional leadership. There's no law that requires us to do that. The law says we have to notify them 48 hours after beginning hostilities. We've done that. I think the notification went today. But we did notify members of Congress in advance. But we can't notify 535 members of Congress.
Vote to authorize the war.
Well, the Congress can vote on whatever they want, but there's no law that requires us to do that. And I want to say something because I see people on TV. Look, that's fine. If they want to take a war powers vote, they can do that. They've done that. They've done that a bunch of times. But people keep saying that there's no law that requires the president to have done anything with regards to this. To begin with, no presidential administration has ever accepted the War Powers Act as constitutional. Not Republican presidents, not Democratic presidents. That said, we have followed the notification at 48 hours, and we're here today. I've done more Gang of Eight briefings than I got in the 4 years that Biden was president and I was a member of the Gang of Eight. All of that said, we've complied with the law 100%, and we're going to continue to comply with it.
And the thing about that is Rubio was in the Gang of Eight when he was in Congress.
Yeah.
And 7 of the 8 responded to him.
Yeah.
You know who the 8th one was? Hakeem Jeffries. He didn't pick up the phone. I did read an article that was posted by a reputable website. I believe it was, I don't want to say which one it was because I don't remember, but they had some sort of source that showed that he looked at it or did know about it, but he did not respond back to Rubio. I just think that this is one of those things where Trump 2.0 is way better than Trump 1.0.
Sure.
And when you have a person like Rubio who has been in Congress, who understands how all of these things work, I promise you that all those T's were crossed and all those I's were dotted.
Yeah.
And because he knows the game, he knows for throwing in a TV show, he knows the Game of Thrones. Like he knows how this works.
Yeah.
And he knows that you're supposed to notify certain people. And so therefore he was a part of that group. So how is he going to not be able to do that?
Yeah, and it makes 100% the case. Like you cannot say that a president has to notify, like Rubio said, all 535 members of Congress,
Right.
before you take military action. And here's why: I don't trust Rashida Tlaib. I don't trust Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
Like especially after what's come out in the last few months.
Yeah.
Coming out of Minnesota, like with where their ties may stand and where their loyalties and allegiances may be that are not the United States. Shoot, no, I do not trust to have to let them know before we take a preemptive action against Iran. Come on. That's dumb.
And they shouldn't have to do that either.
And that's why people like them don't make it into the Gang of Eight.
Right. And they don't
Because
get
that's
chairman seats.
the Gang of Eight is serious business.
Yeah. And you don't even know who those people are by definition. Yeah. Like I know that people of Congress know who they are, but the people who need to know.
Yeah.
And
like I said, Gang of Eight was notified, leadership was notified beforehand, which he said there is no rule or law saying they have to.
Right.
And Trump sent a letter within 48 hours. Like Congress is notified.
So to kind of wrap all this up, I agree with what we're doing so far.
Yeah.
100%. I'm on board with that. I don't particularly like some of the fallout, but that's also part of the fog of war. President George W. Bush talks a lot about that, especially right after 9/11, of information coming out. Even though the information is different, it was a lack of information
right.
that W. Bush dealt with, this is almost like we have too much information and it's hard to decipher what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, as long as we keep it minimal, I don't necessarily have a problem with like Delta Force going in and taking care of whatever they need to take care of. But what I'm referring to is the tens of thousands of people on the ground in Iran. I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Economically, though.
Yeah. Again, this is Clint. He's not a conspiracy theorist. Never have been. Probably don't believe in things that probably are conspiracies just because I'm not really into conspiracies. But Kuwait has slowed oil production. This has a lot to do with logistics, getting it out.
100%.
Right. China, though, stopped exports.
And so did Japan.
China gets almost all of its oil from Venezuela and Iran of their imports.
Yes.
Because they also export some, which, don't get me started on that. Well, Texas does the same thing, but Texas exports more oil than it imports. But anyway, we got all oil here. There's some talk, and like I don't think this is necessarily a conspiracy theory. I don't think the only reason Trump is taking action is Venezuela and Iran is for China. But Trump has significantly hurt China. The U.S. has by the action in Venezuela and the action in Iran.
Well, just the ghost boats that we talked about last week of the ghost shipping.
Because China needs fuel for what Representative Money talked about, AI data centers.
Yep.
And he talked about why we want AI data centers here in the States, because we don't want China to lead everything in AI. We don't want all of our chat GPTs and everything, all of our AI used in medical all over the place to be based in China. And they're not going to have the fuel to run the generators, to run the data centers because of what we're doing in Venezuela and Iran. Like, right. I don't think it was the primary goal, but it's sort of a nice byproduct.
Well, and I'm
interested to see more.
That's global geopolitical politics.
Yeah.
And that's part of this. Like we would be foolish to think that it's not.
Right.
And so as you start to look at the fallout, and this is a net positive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, this
on
probably,
the net, it's a positive. That's another podcast to listen to.
This is
John Chris is net positive.
But those things are definitely going to be things to observe from afar.
Yeah.
I do have a friend that works out in West Texas, and he said that they are just going 100 miles an hour right now.
I bet.
Because they're getting those derricks up. They're already starting to drill or, reopen a lot of the things because it had slowed down a little bit.
Right.
And if you go to the Landman show, anything above 90 is not it's when it starts to pinch the pocketbooks.
Yep.
I did fill up both of our cars today because I was, a little bit worried, but it was still under 3.
Yeah. Diesel's above 3, but I saw the regular unleaded's below still. I mean, we're about to drive to the beach next week, so.
Last time I drove to Orlando is when we had that COVID spike. It was like the post-COVID spike where everything went from like almost to $1 to $5 within a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
That's
no.
great timing.
This is terrible timing.
Thankfully, we don't drive very far, so it's, for us, I work close. My wife works in the town we live in, so thankfully but we will be driving down to the Gulf of America beach here for spring break.
Kristi Noem is fired.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that. It's a big deal. I mean, she was fired. Like, it wasn't. She was promoted. I mean, she got a different job in the administration, but it wasn't really promotion. I mean, she could not handle herself in front of the hearings.
She did not. That did not come off very well.
It's not the first time that's happened, and so I think it's so poetic that Trump taps Markwayne Mullin, the senator in Oklahoma, because he's very good in hearings.
Yes, he is.
He's one of these guys that is can talk. So,
well, did you happen to see the clip of him challenging
the
guy to hand-to-hand combat?
Yeah, because he's an MMA fighter.
He starts to roll his sleeves up, and that guy's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't know. I think this is a great pick.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I
like him. He's from, my wife's from Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma. He has 6 kids. He's an adoptive dad too. So I got a couple things in common there, but I think it'll be a good pick for this job, especially as much under fire as the department has come from Congress.
Right.
That he communicates as well as Tom Homan does. 100%. So now you have Tom Homan and Markwayne Mullin in kind of that same sphere of influence, able to communicate. the administration's goals and tasks in this area. So I think it's good.
And this isn't necessarily anything against Kristi Noem, but I feel like that's a better position for a male. And I don't really know how to describe that.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like that's a very heavy job. And you have to show, this is going to come off as really sexist, but like that just seems like a guy's job. That one does. And I don't really know how to explain it other than that, just other than the optics of all of it. Because like when I saw Big Tom out there, I didn't really think it was okay.
Yeah.
But then the guy, who was the guy that they had in Minneapolis? It was a guy. It was a dude.
Bovino.
Yeah, I didn't like him either.
Yeah.
So, but like when I saw Noem out there, I was like, that's kind of a bad look.
Yeah.
But I wonder if Mark Wayne Mullen will just kind of take the reins and just kind of keep it under. It seems to be okay at the moment.
Yep.
Anything? Are you sure you took something off of the list? Are you sure you don't want to talk about that?
Next time.
Okay.
Next time.
You got anything big this week?
Just getting ready to leave. We're going to work a week, and then after that spring break, we're going to head down to the Gulf of America beach and hang out and have a little fun time. A little spring break trip. We haven't done one of those in a really long time, so
I bet you're excited.
Yeah.
We have this week, and then we're in spring break, but we're going to kind of do some staycation stuff. We're not really traveling. It's difficult for us to travel on spring break because it's just
that's normally what we do.
Family stuff. So, but yeah, we're in full-fledged track season. Kid pitch baseball, club volleyball, one-act play this week. I don't really have much to say about that, but
kids make the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, we try to find got a big birthday coming up next Monday. Don't our wives share birthdays?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget.
No, I won't. We'll be in the beach.
Okay.
What more could you ask for?
That's true. That's a great birthday present. I know my wife we were at the beach, but can't go during spring break.
Yep.
Have a great week.
See you.